All right, welcome everybody back to Criminal Law 1. We're going to get into Chapter 2, which is when we start seeing the meat on the bones of the law. Essential elements of a crime. Before we get started and really get involved in Chapter 2, however, I want to look back at Chapter 1. And say thanks to everybody who's participating on the discussion board. I see about 7 out of 11 of you have posted. You will have my response very soon. Thank you very much. And the other folks, I believe there are a couple folks are having trouble logging in, and we have one brand new student. I believe she's down in Virginia. Anyway. If you can log in but you're having trouble with the exercise, the assignment, you need to get in touch. Just reach out. Send me an email. mdoyle@rwu.edu. Okay. I had a pretty crazy week. I hope everybody survived, their week as well at their respective duty stations, and we'll get ready and start chewing on Chapter 2. First, a quick note on the assignment for this week. Want to make sure that I'm communicating correctly with everybody out there. On the syllabus is going to rule. The syllabus has all the information on the class, and you'll note, particularly this week, week 1, that I wanted you to find a failure to act crime, and if you are having trouble, first of all, I want you to go on the web, wherever if you still go to the local library, you can do that. But find that failure to act crime and post your findings on the discussion board under week 1. If you're having trouble, just Google crime of omission. You Google that, it'll bring you all kinds of information, probably more than you have time to read. So hopefully that's clear. If not, let me know. I'm not getting any, big, huge question marks popping up on my email box, so I figure that everybody pretty much understands what's going on. So, and if it's your first online class, just, once again, zap me an email. I'm pretty available. All right. 2 of the most important things in Chapter 2, actus reus and mens rea. All right. In criminal law, in the United States, it's required to have both of these pieces to be guilty of a crime. And I'm having massive flashbacks to my law school days with Professor Emeritus Donald Hall, who loved these 2 pieces of the crime, because you can and should be able to see these 2 pieces in all crimes involving intent. Most crimes involve intent. In other words, you can't unknowingly or unintentionally or accidentally commit a crime and be guilty of that crime. You have to, the person has to do a prohibited act while simultaneously having the guilty intent, or the intent that's prohibited under the law. 2 obvious examples. First of all, larceny. Larceny is the easiest example to show both these pieces, actus reus, mens rea, how they both have to be present, and if one's not present, then there is no crime. All right. So, what's larceny? Larceny is the taking and carrying away of personal property of another with the intent to permanently deprive the possession of that personal property. All right, so what do we have? Actus reus, the taking and carrying away of personal property of another. There's your act. Where's the mens rea? Obviously, with the intent to permanently deprive the person of the ownership and possession of that personal property, whatever it may be. Okay, so you're at a cocktail party and it's raining, everybody's brought umbrellas, you get ready to leave, put on your coat, grab the umbrella, you think it's yours, you leave with the umbrella, you get home, the next morning you wake up, it's not your umbrella, it's somebody else's umbrella. Did you commit a larceny? No, not if you accidentally picked up the umbrella and took it home. If you accidentally didn't realize it was somebody else's umbrella, you did not intend to permanently deprive that person of the umbrella. It was an accident. Therefore, no mens rea, no larceny. Obviously, you know, if you don't do any prohibited act, if you don't do the prohibited act of taking another's personal property, you can't be guilty of a crime just because you had a thought that you wanted to intend to take somebody else's umbrella, but you didn't. We do not punish, convict and punish people on their thoughts alone here in the United States. Okay, that's a really clear example of the two pieces that you'll find in a lot of crimes. Now, I know, hopefully, you've already read the chapter. So we've got strict liability crimes, inchoate crimes. Those, okay, we'll talk about those in a minute. We're sticking with the lion's share of crime, which has to involve both of these pieces. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of criminal intent. You have different levels of mens rea, or different types of mens rea, that can be considered the mens rea for a particular crime. At the very lowest, you've got negligence. Somebody can be criminally negligent. They're so incredibly negligent that we impugn the intent that they knew or should have known the consequences of their actions. Somewhat above that, recklessness, and then you have knowledge, knowingly, and then you've got the highest form of mens rea, which is intentionally. Each state has its own criminal code. You see, typically things are enunciated fairly clearly. Knowingly is also akin to a sort of a general intent crime, that the person had to have some knowledge of what it was that they were doing and the consequences thereof. All right. With that, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. All right, and mention strict liability crimes. All right, I lied. I'm sorry. I forgot the second example that I was going to give you on the illustration of actus reus and mens rea. And larceny was and is a very easy way to see the two. The other that everybody goes back to, including myself, is burglary. Burglary, and you see in the book they talk about the model penal code. The model penal code has been it was essentially drawn up as a model for states to use as they see fit. A lot adopted a large portion of the model penal code. and burglary is one of those classic crimes, which is defined. It's the breaking and entering of a dwelling of another with the intent to commit a felony therein. It used to be just a house. It used to be just at nighttime. Some of the statutes still say nighttime, but essentially we have the breaking and entering a dwelling of another with the intent to commit a felony therein. So the mens rea is your intent to commit the felony therein, and the actus reus is the breaking and entering the dwelling of another. And we're going to be revisiting this crime and other crimes, but in your job, prosecution or defense, making sure that you have a keen understanding of the elements that are required is going to help you, tremendously. Because if you're on the prosecution side, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt each and every element. And on the defense side, you have to, see if there's one element that's required that you can disprove. I'm sorry, not disprove because you don't have the burden of proof, but that you can show the prosecution has not proved beyond a reasonable doubt, then you can likely successfully defend your client. So in your job, and I know quite a few of you actually are already actively participating in the criminal law process, whether it's a petty crime or something a little major, the first thing you want to do is pull out, the requisite statute. The UCMJ, it reflects a lot of what the federal law reflects. It's not exactly, it doesn't mirror, the states per se, but it's very logical, and you go there first. So you go to the UCMJ, pick out the statute that is allegedly violated, and from that statute itself, you see what the elements that are required, and your job is a lot easier. Because you know what it is that has to be proved and or defended. Right. Give you a nice view of my large forehead before I talk a little bit about strict liability crimes. Before we move on, another general concept that's really good to understand, whether you're defending or prosecuting, is that it is generally accepted that people understand, they understand the natural and probable consequences of their acts. We'll talk a little bit about presumptions and inferences a little bit later, but as a general rule, when you're looking at mens rea, whatever that mens rea is for that particular statute or that particular crime, keep in mind, we can assume people understand the natural and probable consequences of their actions. And that can be used to prove the requisite mens rea for a particular crime. Quick note on motive. Everybody knows or has heard about motive. If you watch TV, movies, motive always comes up as a big part of the show, a big part of the plot. Motive in and of itself is not required to prove somebody committed a crime. Motive is if you're trying to prove a crime, motive is good to have. It's good to have evidence of motive,